Remember to click like, subscribe, the bell notification, and whatever else YouTube has you clicking on to support us. What's up, everyone? I am the Kaiju no Kami from the Toku and Animation News Network, and today I'm taking a look at Mill Creek's Blu-ray release of Ultraman Taiga. Ultraman R marked the end of the Heisei era for Ultraman as Emperor Akihito stepped down from his throne to enjoy retirement. His son, Naruhito, became the newest emperor in May of 2019, bringing about the Reiwa era of Japan. Therefore, Tsuburaya's next series, Ultraman Taiga, would be the first show in Japan's newest monarchy. And what better way is there to celebrate a son's ascension to the throne by having a series featuring the son to an older Ultra protagonist? Ultraman Taiga was the son of Ultraman Taro. Wait, but Taro was dead, and Kotaro gave up the ability to transform into Taro, so how did... I guess it doesn't matter. What matters is Taiga is the son of Taro and has to protect another version of Earth from another evil Ultraman, the main antagonist from the Rube movie, Tregear. Tregear was a pretty cool villain, and I loved Ultraman Taro. I cannot wait to see some of my favorite Taro villains return for this. Is Ultraman Taiga a story worth diving into? Watch to find out. The heroes. Ultraman Taiga sees 3 different Ultraman possessing our lead hero. Wait, what do they think this is? Kamen Rider Den-O? At the start of the show, Taiga, his buddies Titus and Fuma, along with Rosso, Blue, Taro, and a few other Ultras were battling Tregear. Taiga was thought to be lost in battle, whereas he actually ended up bonding with a young child named Hiroyuki Kudo, who befriended a baby Gesura, which was being kidnapped by aliens. Taiga kept himself hidden within Hiroyuki as he healed himself. 12 years later, Hiroyuki joins up with a small security firm known as Egis. Egis haphazardly stands for the Enterprise of Guard and Investigation Services. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense. I feel like sometimes they write the acronym and then try to make up words to fill in said acronym. Egis was founded by a woman named Kana Sasaki, who used to be an officer for a government agency that would often experiment on illegal aliens. Kana found their methods wholly unorthodox due to the immense disdain they had for aliens, especially when she failed to be able to help an alien child who lost their parents.
この子が研究所行きなんて納得できません。
外事 X 課の仕事は事件の解決までだ。宇宙人の処分については関知しない。これは上の命令だ。
As such, Aegis' job is to protect anyone and everyone who utilizes their services, regardless of them being a human or alien.
宇宙人を退治したい。
はい。
だったらお門違いね。私たちの仕事は依頼人の警護。退治じゃなくて守るのが仕事。
This led Hiroyuki to work for Kana as his failure to save the baby Gesura dictated that he wanted to protect those in need. During his first job, an alien threat awakens Taiga, and the duo joined forces to stop a rampaging monster from destroying Japan. Hiroyuki transforms into Taiga using an arm gauntlet and a key. Ultraman Taiga! In addition to Taiga, Titus and Fuma end up making their way to Hiroyuki, and he alternates between the trio, each of them having their own set of skills rather than changing into various forms. Titus is all about muscles, therefore his main focus is on strength, which is why I have nicknamed him Ultraman Tight Ass. Fuma is a ninja, meaning his attacks are quick like the wind. I do like how each Ultra has their own personality that is brought to life thanks to voice actors Takuma Terashima.
なんだよ、もっと感動しろよ。宇宙的な出会いだぞ。俺はお前の命を救ったんだぞ。
なんか実感湧かないな。
俺はお前の中でパワーが回復するのを待っていたんだ。
Phrasing?
Satoshi Hino.
あいつの体内には今でもかすかに地球のパワーが眠っているはずだ。それをこのお嬢さんが引き出し、私たちの光の力と融合させれば勝機はある。
And Shota Hayama.
おめえと初めて会った時は生意気ないけすかねえ野郎だと思ってたけどよ。今じゃ俺とお前は一心同体。おめえ一人が欠けてもダメなんだ。
All three have been featured in various anime series that include Fate Zero, Black Clover, Gundam Age, One Piece, Cells at Work, Goblin Slayer, and Devilman Crybaby. Hino is also the voice of Oliver Queen in the Japanese dub of Arrow. On the subject of actors, Hiroyuki is played by Yuki Inoue, while Kana is GMK star Chiharu Niyama.
僕にできることがあったら何でも言ってください。怪獣なんて知らんよ。話はここまでだ。じゃあな。
いい加減にしろ工藤博之。世界の不幸を一人で背負ったような顔して。何様のつもり？あなたは一人なの？そうじゃないでしょ。
There are two upgrade abilities Hiroyuki acquires. The first is one that is exclusive to Taiga, combining the powers of the Earth and Sun.
Ultraman Taiga,
It's a pretty cool form that is barely used, for it quickly gets overshadowed by the Tri-Strium one that fuses our three Ultras together into one being. Hiroyuki also acquires rings from several defeated monsters that allow him to borrow their unique abilities, though using these come at a cost. He also has another, quite forgettable device that allows him to access the powers of the last 7 Ultramen. It's used sparingly and doesn't have much impact on the overall plot of the show like the monster rings did. In fact, I forgot he even had it until it became relevant in the follow-up movie. As the main protagonist, Hiroyuki and his Ultra friends are average. Hiroyuki is a likable guy, but he doesn't do anything of interest to stand out from the main heroes who have come before and after him. I thought him having Taiga festering inside of him for 12 years was the only noteworthy aspect for his character. His personality is very by the book, making him the least interesting of our Egis crew.
ひろゆきダサい。
じゃあタイガが何とかしてよ。ごめんタイガ。
That was really good. That was really funny. Kana can often steal the scene, which is to be expected given her actress. I also like that despite being the one in charge of the organization, she is not afraid to go onto the front lines herself to protect a client.
ランデブーポイントのショッピングモールに到着。気合い入れなさい。
One episode that really highlighted this revolved around an alien thief she often had to bail out of trouble. She will also walk headfirst into danger if it is to save a friend.
ちょっとした情報筋からうちの社員を狙ってる連中がいるって聞いたから家庭訪問に来たってわけ。誰がうちのひろゆきを狙ってるの？
As for the Tri-Squad, as they call themselves, I like that Taiga is trying to live up to his father's name while also trying to be his own person, as it were.
私も地球人と絆を深め、共に巨大な悪と戦った。
地球人と？そんな絆なんて俺には必要ありません。
Titus is often hilarious, reminds me a bit of Armstrong from Fullmetal Alchemist. Fuma is impulsive and thinks being quick is always best.
残像だ。
The remaining two members to Egis include the super serious soldier Homare Soya and their cybersecurity and computer engineer Perika Ashikawa. When he was younger, Homare's parents disappeared and he ended up becoming a thug who would often get into fights, especially with aliens. He eventually turned himself around and joined up with Egis to protect aliens because he himself was one.
この町にはな、地球人でない奴らも大勢いるんだ。奴らにだって子供もいれば親もいる。だからそいつらみんなひっくるめて俺がこの町を守る。
His alien nature allows him to be stronger and more agile compared to a regular person, which is why he will often take up more dangerous tasks when necessary. Ryotaro does a good job at portraying Homare's no-nonsense side, along with his sensitive side when it comes to him being an alien, and learning that nobody in Aegis looks down upon him when he reveals this to them.
俺実は宇宙人なんだよね。
明日も朝練よろしくお願いしますね。今度こそ絶対に勝ちますからね。
はい、報告書今日中にお願いします。
Perika has a fascinating backstory I cannot go into, as it was revealed in the second to last episode of the show. Unfortunately, beyond this moment, she is only given one episode to develop her character, which dives into her being a stereotypical girl of caring about her looks and what new clothes to buy.
ペリカちゃんサーチセンサービンビンに反応だ。
She ended up befriending an alien who was trying to destroy the world for a group that wanted to add Earth to their empire just by having the same interests as her.
仕事に人の未来を決める権利はない。仕事やっていける自信ないって言った時、大好きな人に言われたの。
I do wish more had been done with Perika as she royally got the shaft, which was a shame as she was a far more interesting character compared to Hiroyuki. Perika is played by Ayuri Yoshinaga.
すべての答えは虚無だ。宇宙に存在するあらゆるものに意味はない。
それは違う。あなたの周りに何もないだけだよ。私には友達がいる。仲間がいる。
The last main player of the show is a former colleague of Kana's named Sakura. Sakura will often go to Kana and her team for alien threats he knows his personal team can't handle.
だからこんなぶっ飛んだ事件、君らみたいな変人集団にぴったりなんだよ。第一、暇だろ？
誰が変人ですか？暇じゃないです。
We don't learn too much about him beyond him clearly being a coward and doesn't like to take on tasks that will get him into trouble if he fails. He is played by Shingo Kazami, who has been in several Ultra shows in the past, including a 1990 Ultra Q movie, the Cosmos movies, and the Mabius movies.
内緒にしてないと秘密捜査にならんだろう。おかげさまでね、CQ は外事 X 化に標準装備されることになったよ。
The Monsters and Aliens. For being essentially a sequel to Ultraman Taro, there are no Taro villains to be had. That is the biggest crime of all. Why would you make a show revolving around the son of Ultraman Taro and not feature one goddamned alien or monster from his own show? I was so looking forward to seeing the likes of Emargo, or Mochiran. But nope, we get the usual suspects like Zeton, Magma, Babaru, Pandan, and Bemlar. Thankfully, some of the reused favorites are given some solid episodes, as is the case with Nako and Black King, which is written to be a sequel to the Return of Ultraman episode, even though this show is a sequel to Ultraman Taro.
ある惑星で夕焼けの中戦った大しく立つ光の巨人に美しかった。
There's also a couple of new monsters and aliens that are pretty cool. This includes the thunder god like Goro Thunder, who can capture people and put them in his stomach. Halberus has a pretty cool design and makes a great introductory monster. I think my favorite is an ancient demon that was too powerful to be destroyed, so it had to be locked away, named Nightfang. The village it resides in also gives us some nice horror-esque moments for the show. I wish Nightfang had actually been the final monster of the series as opposed to the lameoid we got in the end. As I mentioned earlier, Tregear is the main villain of the series, who was carried over from the Roop movie. I wish I could say Tregear is the most interesting Ultraman villain thus far. Instead, all I have to say is that he was pretty much trying to be juggler without any clear indication as to what his motivations exactly were. It seems like he is only doing what he does here because he hates Taiga and nothing more. He takes on a human form and dresses up like Monokuma from Danganronpa, and then just causes mischief for Egis.
You bastard!
その程度かお前の愛する者への思いは冷たい宇宙をさまよい続けるぞ愛する者は永遠に
I like that he is a credible threat and ruthless as he takes out the Gesra on Hiroyuki. And nearly kills half of his crew, but ultimately he's a one-dimensional villain who doesn't do much of anything in the long run. He's just kind of there, always plotting with no actual plot in mind. Interestingly enough, the actor that plays his human guys, Ko Nanase, had auditioned for the role of Hiroyuki.
今日は君のことをじっくりと観察させてもらった。君は迷ったね。目の前の仲間と大勢の人間。どちらを守るべきか。
The effects and music. Effects are on par with the shows that have come before it, while the music is hit or miss. The effects are a mix of practical and CGI, and they work out exceptionally well 90% of the time. The composite sequences remain stellar while the miniature work continues to be superb. I will say that it does lose its luster a little bit by having the same buildings for several years now, but the amount of detail remains solid. The same can be said for the camera work, which is fantastic. The soundtrack is not bad, but I can't say Yuya Mori is my favorite composer. While there are some good pieces of music, nothing stuck in my mind once I finished the show. This piece was probably the most favorable for me.
ひろゆきくんには闇に落ちてもらう。君はその糧となるのだ。
The opening song is titled Buddy Steady Go, which is sung by Taiga's voice actor Takuma Terashima. It's an okay opening that has a couple of cool moments in it, though again, nothing that stuck in my head. There are two very forgettable ending themes. The first one, Hitotsuboshi from Sayaka Sasaki, is heard for the first 13 episodes of the show. Hitotsuboshi sounds like it belongs in a romance anime rather than an Ultraman show. Sphere's Sign is the second opening, played for the second half. Of the two, I would say I prefer Sign over Hitotsubashi, though I'm really ambivalent to either one. The episodes. Ultraman Taiga is a good show bogged down by mediocrity. Ultraman Taiga has a lot going for it. It has the closest connection to a Showa-era show than any other Next Generation series that came before it. Taiga himself has to live in his dad's shadow. The show plays a lot on the aspects of racism and diversity because many of the aliens are just trying to live in peace, but are also hated on by humans because they are not from their world. Homare was very fearful that his team would hate him for being an alien. It has a lot going for it. My favorite episode of the series was one that dealt with a man who claims to be from another world, getting mocked by people thinking he is some sort of lunatic.
あの人ね、うちの子供が土手でキャッチボールしてたら急に混ぜてくれって言ってきたらしいわよ。やだ！でその時に自分は次元を超えてきた宇宙人だって言ったらしいのよ。何それ、そういう系？
It isn't until he meets Kana that he comes to enjoy life on Earth despite being stranded there for the last 50 years. The Saucers Are Not Coming is the first episode where we really start to learn about Kana's past and what led her to creating Egis. As all this is going on, an assassin hired by Tregear comes to Earth. The man witnesses this, which makes him a prime target for the assassin before he is to tackle his true objective.
そばの本場といったらやっぱり信州よね。
何こんな時に。
無事に生き延びたら一緒に行きましょう。
Overall, it was an outstanding episode with a character you felt sorry for, on top of pondering if the man was telling the truth or if he really was just insane. Add on top a nice callback to an Ultra 7 episode.
50年くらい前にね、地球人の友達ができたんだ。星が大好きな青年でね。で彼に言ったんだよ。綺麗な星の世界に連れてってあげるって。
Some outstanding camera work. And you have a good time in the making.
長いな。照れちゃってかわいい。近いうちに切符をお届けするわ。取れない。
Other favorites include the Nako episode.
戦いをやめて半世紀、この星でとても楽しく過ごすことができた。美しい自然や愛というものに触れることができた。このままこの星で人間として生涯を閉じるのも悪くない。
The two-parter with Night Fang for its horror aspects.
何ですか
Messenger of God, you're doomed if you stay here.
And one that saw Tregear really going all out against Hiroyuki and Taiga.
じゃあ指輪は返してもらうね。ご苦労さん。
Unfortunately, the biggest problem for this series is in its overarching plot. One of the strong points for the last several Ultra shows was how story-driven they were. Taiga seems like it wants to have a continuous narrative, but does not know how to implement it, making most episodes feel episodic and filler-esque. As I said earlier, I have no idea what Tregear's endgame was. There's also an alien crime syndicate that is introduced at the start of the show, making you think they were going to be a big part of the plot when they amounted to nothing. We don't even actually see their boss fight or be taken down on screen. It's very disappointing. There were also a lot of episodes that were quite forgettable, even if they were entertaining ones. My least favorite episode of the show is episode 20's, The Sandcastle. The Sandcastle has Egis charged with protecting a clumsy scientist who has developed a device that can detect who is human and who is an alien.
あの人は人間です。じゃあ、あなたは？あなた。宇宙人なんですか?
She constantly walks over people's feet as she is blatantly oblivious to anything going on around her if it isn't something on her mind.
その波動係数を数式で表すとこのような数式にであるとします。固有ベクターの集合は完全形であるために C 級測定値は波動をデータバンク化し
She ends up becoming the target for other aliens who are not happy with her device, which is called CQ or Seek You. It also turns out the woman had befriended an alien when she was a child who was her only friend until he went back into space, which is what inspired her to make the CQ. I think my biggest issue with this episode was how predictable it was on top of being flat out boring. I also have to say the scientists really annoyed me. I was rooting for the villains to win in this one.
みんないろんな事情を抱えてるからな。 この星で生きていくには
反応してる。彼がいます。
At least it does have some good battles towards the end of the episode to make it worth it. The movie. As to be expected, Ultraman Taiga has a post-series movie. The movie is pretty good, though I can't say I was a fan of how arrogant they made Hiroyuki. Sharing his body with Taiga, Tight Ass, and Fuma has suddenly made him think he is all that, which doesn't jive with the way the series ended.
最近ちょっと無茶しすぎじゃない？心配なのよ。あれからもいろいろ聞いてるし。ほら今夜だって。
社長、僕は地球人と宇宙人の架け橋にならなくちゃいけないんです。多少の無茶は仕方ないじゃないですか。
This is something that would have made more sense earlier on in the show, not after it. It does feature Ginga, Victory, X, Orb, Jeed, Rosso, and Blue coming to Hiroyuki to retrieve their powers, while also trying to protect him from Sauron. He's there looking for the one Ultra Spark to rule them all. Taro also makes his presence known, only to be hypnotized by Tregear to do his bidding, giving us a reason for Taiga to battle his father. A bunch of the monsters from the show return so the other Ultras have something to do. And of course, there is a movie exclusive form. It was an enjoyable film, even if I will never call it a favorite. The Blu-ray. Mill Creek's Blu-ray is what you would expect at this point. We've got a slipcase, but interestingly enough, it's artwork on the backside instead of descriptions for the show and movie, which is now relegated to the case itself. The exact opposite, which used to just be all artwork. I don't know if they changed it because it's now the Reiwa era, but it's still kind of weird. We have discs and trays. We have a booklet. There's a card in there for the card game. For the booklet, we've got descriptions of the Ultramen, a listing of all the monsters and aliens, and then a synopsis for each episode. Given Ultraman Taiga was made in 2019, the video quality looks great. Audio is solid just as well, with an immersive soundtrack to keep you engaged. I noticed no errors with either aspect. Subtitles are similar to what was presented on the Rube Blu-ray. There's nothing special about the fonts, and they're quite basic looking. Songs are subbed, which was nice since a lot of the Next Generation Ultra shows lack them. For some reason, they decided to cram the movie onto the last disc rather than give it its own disc, which is puzzling. Not just because of the loss of video and audio quality that could have been done for the movie, but it also makes me wonder if they are not going to bother selling the movie on its own like they did with the last few releases. The only bonus feature included is an extra clip show found on the last disc. It takes place after the series, so do not watch it until then if you do not want to have the show spoiled for you. I was fairly entertained with Ultraman Taiga, even though it probably will never make my top 10 lists. It just lacked the serialized nature the last few shows have featured, and a lot of the episodes were just average. As such, I am going to give Ultraman Taiga an average 3 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex. I liked it, especially episodes 15 and 19, but there wasn't enough substance to make me love it. The ending was also a letdown. Still, I would definitely recommend watching it. Until next time, bye!